Hello, my wonderful fans. Welcome back. Now, I know in my last video, I talked about some physical health concerns that I have, like fibromyalgia, anemia, and fatigue. But in this video, I'm going to focus more on mental health related issues. Now, I know that I have mentioned some neurodivergencies that I possess and am diagnosed with, like ADHD and Asperger's, for instance. Although I haven't gone into a ton of detail about those, I mean, I know my discussion on my own neurodivergence was kind of left more to a very brief discussion here and there, occasionally thrown around in a very selectively finite number of videos. And I will actually touch more on that in this video too, at least more so than I did in previous videos. However, in this video, I want to elaborate more extensively on a phenomenon that I don't think a whole lot of people have heard of. It's called orthorexia, and although it rhymes, it's not the same as anorexia, which I'm gonna go ahead and just assume that everyone's heard of that one. I mean, I wasn't born yesterday, you know. You know, I am aware that that has been around since the beginning of time, literally, so I think I can assume that everyone's at least heard of that one. But I do not think that a whole lot of people know about its much newer cousin, orthorexia. In my own simplistic words, orthorexia refers to somebody who is obsessed with only eating pure, natural, and healthy foods. So an orthorexic may obsessively avoid anything with gluten or preservatives or artificial dyes, MSG, added sugars, etc., etc., etc. It's one thing to be mindful and aware of what you're consuming. In fact, I think most people would be willing to say that putting conscious effort into avoiding unhealthy stuff is a good, positive thing, but when it becomes really obsessive and, like, dominates and controls your life, that's where one may have a problem. I mean, if you're having a panic attack just because you possibly ate one thing that had one bad ingredient in there, yeah, I think it's reasonable to say that there is a problem. And I do think that I have dealt with this at one point in time. And I know that I have previously made videos about my anxiety recovery and recovering from, you know, really bad anxiety and panic attacks. And I think that orthorexia is another demon that I managed to bury 6 feet underground. But before I go into more detail about how I'm affected by this, I would like to give a brief synopsis on what it actually is. Oh crap, I searched the word Wikipedia in Wikipedia, and then I got the Wikipedia article for Wikipedia. My gosh, that is so ironic. What kind of a website has an article about its own damn self in it? I have literally never seen that before. My gosh, that would be like if the Merriam-Webster dictionary had the term Merriam-Webster dictionary as a defined term in its own dictionary. My gosh, that would be so amusing and ironic. I wonder if they actually have that. I think I should go find that out. Let's look that up. Oh, would you look at that? They're calling me a word lover just for visiting. Yeah, I could say I'm a word lover. I do go into creative writing spurts sometimes. And when I was a senior in high school, I wrote a bomb-ass poem. I remember that I got an A+ on it. I wonder where that poem went. I should probably dig it up sometime so I can present it in a future YouTube video. Wow, that was a weird random spurt I got into. For the record, this sort of thing happens all the time in my ADHD brain, so if you found this random, unexpected, and weird, you have no idea what it's like up in here. My gosh, this sort of thing happens all the time in my mind, all day, every day. 24/7, 365 days a year. So what was I gonna do again? Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna search Merriam-Webster in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Huh. What do you know? It's not in there, but that would really be utterly ironic to an amusing degree if it was, right? So, what was I gonna do again? Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna search orthorexia on Wikipedia, and then I accidentally searched Wikipedia on Wikipedia, and then that all ran to this random spurtsflu that I have no idea how I got into. There we go. This is what I was looking for. If orthorexia is real enough to have a Wikipedia article on it, I think we can say it is a real thing. Wikipedia is a reliable source. If it's on Wikipedia, it must be true, right? I won't read every single word on this page, but I will skim over it, read an exact sentence here and there, and then give my own personal commentary on it. It says that orthorexia is a proposed eating disorder characterized by an excessive obsession with eating healthy food. So that's more or less what I said at the beginning of this video, just in different wording. And then down here, it says that orthorexia is not recognized by the American Psychiatric Association, and it is not an official diagnosis in the DSM yet. And this is likely because of how new orthorexia is. After all, it's been around since just barely before the beginning of the 21st century, and that is pretty new in terms of the medical science world, and that's definitely extremely new compared to anorexia, which has been around since the beginning of time. And I think it is reasonable to conclude that disorders have to be studied thoroughly enough before they can actually become actual practical diagnoses. Do not know all the exact measures that a condition has to undergo before it becomes an official diagnosis, but I do know it is not as simple as somebody just being like, hey, I just discovered a new condition, and then they just rubber stamp it into the medical dictionary. I know that there is a certain protocol that a condition has to undergo before it becomes a true diagnosis. I do not know the specific protocols that a condition has to undergo before it becomes an official term, but I do know that they can't just rubber stamp a new term into the medical dictionary whenever they please. I could compare this to when they discover a new medication or a new vaccine. They can't just release it into the public without it being studied and trialed thoroughly first. My understanding is that diagnoses work in a similar fashion. Another analogy would be law. Let's say that the citizens and/or lawmakers want a new law to be put into place. In order for a desired law to become an actually enforced law, there would be certain measures that would have to undergo in order for that to occur. They can't just rubber stamp a new law into the law book whenever they so please. And even if all my exact supporting details weren't 100% correct, I do think that most of my audience would be able to understand what I'm trying to convey with my analogies here. Everybody should know about me is that I am a fan of analogies. I often will make up my own and use them when I'm explaining them to people that I know and interact with on a regular basis in real life. I just find things easier to understand and apply when I can conjoin comparisons to them. My understanding of these paragraphs here, the initial doctors whom discovered the condition back in 1997, in 2016, they constructed diagnostic criteria for this disorder. It shouldn't be necessary for me to read all of these passages here. I think most of you would be able to get the gist of it by just me skimming over it like so. And then it is implicated down here that with orthorexics, the desire to lose weight may not be a goal at all, or it might not be the sole motive, and if it is part of the equation, it is usually accomplished with other greater goals that carry more centralized focus. I would have to say that this applies to what I went through. Now, just for clarification that I'm only speaking for myself, and what I am talking about is just based on my own experience and what I remember and what I feel about what I went through in the past. I do think that weight loss was part of the reason why I was exhibiting what I was exhibiting. However, I don't think it was my one and only priority. When I was in the midst of my orthorexic tendencies, I would have rather ate 2,000 calories of health food over 500 calories of junk food, or food that my orthorexic tendencies didn't approve of, because technically you can lose weight by just simply eating less calories than you burn, based on the equation of calorie deficit equals weight loss. That would illustrate that technically 500 calories of junk food is more conducive to weight loss than 2,000 calories of health food. So the fact that I would have taken the 2,000 calories of health food over the 500 calories of not orthorexic approved food definitely proves that where I was coming from was definitely about something more complicated than just an isolated desire for weight loss. Although I knew that calories are the only thing that matters when it comes to weight, and I understood that fact on an intellectual level, that still would not stop the orthorexia voice going off in my head whenever I would eat something that had an ingredient that my orthorexia did not approve of, which again, this just further highlights that what I was going through was definitely about more than just mere desire to control weight. That's another way it differs from anorexia, since usually when it comes to anorexia, losing weight is the one and only goal. In fact, much of the time it is literally the only thing that they care about, and that is why anorexics oftentimes will eat junk food and other artificial chemical preservative-ridden shit, but just in scarce quantity to allow for a huge calorie deficit. Most of them do not care about potentially unhealthy substances. A lot of the time, all they care about is losing as much weight as possible. If all I cared about was losing weight, I would have preferred to eat the 500 calories of junk food over the 2,000 calories of health food. The fact that wasn't the case with me just proves that what was going on with me was about more than just a mere desire to lose weight. I'm sure that some of my viewers are familiar with the YouTuber of Herbs and Altars. She goes by the name Dorian. I am not a diehard fan by any means, but I have watched some of her videos on some occasions. In fact, I often do find her rambles about topics and experiences that she's had to be an interesting listen. Disclaimer out here, I am not a diehard fan of Dorian by any means. I have not watched that many videos of her, so I might not know her as well as some of my audience may. I don't know what Dorian's brother's neighbor's pet hamster's name is or whatnot. That actually pulls up a memory that I forgot I had until this very moment. Does anybody remember that Hannah Montana episode where Miley was stuck in jail, and then in order to get out of jail, she had to answer all these really weird questions by this stalker fan to prove that she is actually the Hannah Montana?
Where do you kids come up with these ridiculous ideas? I blame television.
But please, you've got to believe me. I am Hannah Montana. Ask me anything about her.
All right, if you're going to stick to this idiotic story, there's only one thing left for me to do. My daughter, the ultimate Hannah fan. You can convince her you're Hannah Montana. I'll let you go.
Cool, this will be easy. What do you want to know, sweetie?
Don't sweetie me, punk. December 19th, 2007, Hannah performed where?
Hartford Civic Center.
What did she open with?
Rockstar.
Closed with?
Best of both worlds. 10 minutes standing ovation, baby. Oh, yeah. Don't go anywhere. This ain't gonna take long.
Oh, no, I'm just getting started. Hannah, not Tana. In between Pump Up the Party and I Got Nerve, Hannah said I love you, Connecticut, and then winked at the audience. Which eye did she use?
Which eye? Are you kidding me?
Do I look like I'm kidding?
Sweet kid you got there. Who's her mother? Godzilla?
November 4th, 2006, Hannah jumps on a paparazzi's back outside of a trendy club. What was the headline in the Los Angeles Herald?
I know this. Hannah's Wild Ride!
Bye! March 17th, 2005, Sunset Boulevard. Billboard goes up of Hannah with a zit on her face. Was it on her cheek or her chin?
My cheek. No, my chin. Had to be my cheek. It was my cheek. Bam! Bye!
It was her forehead. Bam, bam, turkey in hand. We're done here. Listen, Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Oh yeah.
Well, that was some unexpected nostalgia. I know that I watched Hannah Montana on a pretty frequent basis back in preschool and early elementary school. Although I'm definitely nowhere near a Hannah Montana expert like that little girl that I just showed in the clip, I do know that Hannah Montana started back in 2006 and then ended in 2011. So to think that kids now will have no idea about the real Miley, the ones that, unlike those of us, the younger millennials and older Gen Zers, who I will say you all deserve a veteran discount if you remember this, in relation to my original point. So yeah, I'm definitely not an expert on Dorian, and definitely do not know anywhere near as much as the little girl did about Hannah Montana. And I do intend on talking more about Dorian in some of the upcoming videos. So, just to reiterate, I haven't been a fan of Dorian for that long. I haven't watched a ton of videos of her, so I'm probably not going to know her as well as some of those of you who stan her, i.e. stalker fan her. And if I get some of my information about her wrong, please do not throw me in jail and make my bail questionnaire about trivia knowledge of Dorian, because I would for sure be screwed. That's all I have for today. Sometime soon in the future, I will talk more about my story with some of these mental health issues that I talked about and discussed on, and my neurodivergency. Thank you so much to all my committed, wonderful fans. You all mean so much to me. Last month was a pretty rough month for both myself and my family, so yeah, it's a blessing that I was able to write and get some videos out. Bye for now.